Good morning, John Augustine back again, and we're talking about the year 2000 and the events that occurred. Made a note of them there at the start of it. On the 30th of May 2000, Northern Ireland, devolution returned to Northern Ireland. In other words, they started to govern themselves. Up to that, they had been governed from the Westminster in England because they couldn't agree and all this. But with the peace agreement and all the rest of it, so devolution, they called it, returned to Northern Ireland. So they were able to run their own affairs. Now, there was a first minister and a deputy minister. So in that case, it was the Unionists had the majority, so they would be the first minister. And then Sinn Féin had the majority, and one of their members would be it wasn't Sinn Féin, it was SDLP. I think it was a great lad from Fermanagh, marvellous lad. I'd mentioned him before. He was the deputy first minister, if I remember rightly. So that was good news for Northern Ireland, and then ipso facto was good news for this part, because the last thing you wanted was all this trouble in Northern Ireland, because people abroad don't see the difference between the north and the south. It's in the one island of Ireland, so it didn't do us any good. I don't know how our tourist industry survived and our business, because people abroad don't look at this as sort of as particular to the north of Ireland under the British rule. They don't know that sort of thing. So it was a good thing that peace reigned there, because then we benefited. And then on the 6th of July in the year 2000, with regard to pubs, they used to be able to close between 2 and 4 p.m. so that people working in the pubs in Dublin, because there was trade unions, and 2 to 4, so they had a break. And on a Sunday, I think there was a couple of hours off as well. But the Intoxicating Liquor Act, they did away with that. You see, they don't have respect for workers, as far as I see. Even then, in the year 2000, that was done away with. So they didn't have their time off, and the people running the pub would have time off as well to talk to their family. Was suspended. And then, and also on a Sunday, I think it was close from 2 to 4 p.m. on a Sunday, but I remember when I was young, pubs were only open from 5 o'clock in the evening to 7 o'clock on a Sunday. So the families were able to go to Mass and all the rest of it. And there was none of this work on a Sunday. Most shops were closed. And these were family-owned stores. So things was done right. That was all changed with this is the sort of the slow, what they call the secular crowd doing what they're doing. Yes, sorry. And that includes Fianna Fáil. 2 to 4 p.m. Was done away with. And the weekly one as well, which used to be just from 2 to 3 p.m. And so it's 5 to 7 p.m. So, I mean, that was respecting the Sabbath. And people could have a drink in that time. So they weren't meant to be spending the whole time there. And it was good for family life. And a lot of people that drank and smoked used to give up all those during Lent. And they often looked a lot better for it. These were things I observed when I was young. And never liked to see people staggering when I was young. It used to just look very bad. And I might have been guilty at that then when I was doing things not right myself at times when I was, because it's very peculiar, isn't it? Not good. So it's just now that when you kind of reflect on these things, you realise that there's an attack on the Catholic faith and making it awkward for people to be able to practice their faith. Isn't that right? And to have some Sunday is a holy day, a Sabbath. Keep holy the Sabbath day. That's been ordered all the time. And that's the way it was, not the way it is now. It's just like another day for a lot of poor unfortunates working. I can understand the Gardaí providing their patrolling the streets, which I don't see them doing that. Whatever they're at, they're not patrolling the streets the way they used to. And they should. There's something wrong there somewhere. And so therefore, if you're patrolling the street, you're talking to the people, you know what's going on. But you won't know what's going on if you're stuck in a blinking station, Garda station, and going around in cars. That you won't know what that way. You're not protecting the general public as far as I'm concerned. So all this was done, and so family life suffered. I shouldn't wonder, because you used to see people staggering even when I was young, and it looked awful. Overdoing things. So that was a very bad move in my book. Looking back in it now in hindsight, you don't notice these things when you're growing up and becoming mature. You don't notice them, quite frankly. But it's the culture then is beginning to change, and this is why now it has morphed into this business of nearly 90% of baptized Catholics not attending Mass and leaving their souls in grave danger of eternal damnation. So this is the start of it, on the 6th of July 2000. And they did other things before that, gradually weakening, and then later on they started attacking nuns and Christian brothers and all these, never giving them credit for anything, and that was the same kind of approach, isn't it? Yeah. They had to be ashamed of themselves, destroying what was good, and the bishops would want to wake up and go back to the drawing board and do things the way they were done, and they wouldn't have all this closing churches and all the rest of it. They should be ashamed of themselves of what they inflicted on taking out all the rest. I changed the subject there because all this is part of the weakening of the faith in my book. Now, so and then of course, recently they did away with the closing on a Good Friday, which is the holiest of holies. Pubs open. Did you ever hear the lick of it? Did you ever think it had happened? God Almighty, what a dreadful crowd is around the country, isn't it? No respect for anything. But the practice of the Catholic faith, they interfered with it, didn't they? And the bishops were too silent. That's acquiescence. And I certainly now, with the way I've kind of come to my senses with the Holy Spirit and one thing and another, I know what's wrong and where it come from over time. So that's what I say about that. It got worse as time went on. Now with the killing of the innocent and marriage being interfered with, and there's no end to it. Then on the 12th of December, President Bill Clinton, he did great work in this country. He was one of the very important people that brokered the peace with Senator George Mitchell, that was based in the Art of War, and a great man. President Bill Clinton, once they're behind something, it's a good chance of succeeding. It was his last visit, and he visited President Mary McAleese on Ars and Uachtaráin up in the Phoenix Park. Beautiful building. I was in it one time on a visit when I think predecessor, Mary Robinson. It's a good few years ago, of course, and with other people. So he visited and met Mary, and then he met Bertie Ahern, the Taoiseach, stroke Prime Minister, and he visited Northern Ireland, the leaders, and he gave a speech in Dundalk. He did great work in this country, and wherever else crosses come his way, that's one great achievement. And he can kind of look back on that. And he really did good, and we appreciate all he did. I certainly did, and I had a great pleasure of hearing him speaking in. He was speaking on College Green outside Trinity College, and there was a fierce crowd there. The place was packed. I had the pleasure, and I heard President Kennedy there as well when he had the motorcade with De Valera coming up his marvellous sight. Give us great lift, 1963. Yeah. These are all great things that happened and for the good. So President Clinton did something for the good. And that's what we like. Something done for the good. We don't like something done for the bad. No, sorry. And we could see the way they were interfering with the pub opening hours. We have far too many pubs. A lot of them now are closed because people are not going. They were closed during the COVID. And people got used to sort of not going, and the prices are too high in pubs, especially in Dublin, and they're not getting the crowds, but they're getting some of them is going still, younger people, of course, nothing else to do. So there you are. That's the year 2000, and that's all the kind of things. There wasn't that many things happened in 2000 for some reason or another. So the next bit will be, let me see. The next bit will be the arts and literature and that type of thing, which I'll be doing tomorrow, please God. Bye now. Have a good day.